Simon a lot in the last few years of his life. But when you did see him and when you were part of his life, he was just a unique and lovely guy. And I think everybody in this room that knew him like that. And we all just bloody loved him. We all still loved him.
What he meant to me and my family, we know. So I don't know what to say other than I think tonight's a really good idea. It's a really interesting thing because it's so not a Jewishy, Yiddishy thing to do this sort of thing. This is more like a wake than. But I think it's a really good idea.
My very early memories of Simon, because that's probably you hear all late ones, but this is early. When we were at King David, he was always into music, and I remember him miming to Mud. And I can't remember the name of the song, but when I hear it on the radio, I always think of him. And he did that whole air guitar thing, and I remember him singing at me for some strange reason. I just always remember that. And I grew up with Simon, really, really very fond of him. And Phoebe and James, he had a great dad, and you can see by all this how much he was thought of. But yeah, I'm sure there might be people with earlier memories. We were about 4 for that. But yeah, just lots of love.
I can recall trying to teach him to swim, and he would get in the water and he wouldn't let go of the side, and I knew that he could swim really. So I picked him up out of the water. He was only tiny. I put it over my shoulders and I threw him into the water as far as he could go. And of course he hit the water and he went down. And he came up screaming, and then he went down again. And he came up laughing. And he said, "Oh, this is all right, isn't it?" And he swam. That was fantastic.
Simon and I had music and Marlborough Lights in common mainly.
Brian's been part of Simon's life for 35 years, and you can speak as well.
36 years. No, you speak. Can I interrupt?
What?
This video is for you. It's like, hello, I'm Simon's sister, and I know Simon from childhood, from when he was born. What are you like being interviewed?
This is my son Alexander, who says it as it is. Come and sit with us. Okay.
For Christmas, I
just remember the fun times when we were kids. I don't remember any bad times. There was no bad times.
I knew Simon from when he was about 13, and I was friends with his sister at school, and I was one of the first ones to learn to drive. So I used to pick everyone up in the morning, and Simon used to come along as well, because I used to pick his sister up, and Simon just used to sort of sit there in the back of the car with lots of young girls twittering away.
Simon was the cool kid, but I don't think we realised that at the time. I did at the time.
He was actually quite cool, very humble, great sense of humour, very dry sense of humour.
Terrible clothes.
No, trendy clothes actually. I think we'll find it was you, Neil, that was wearing the terrible clothes. He wore dungarees. Simon Dessa never wore dungarees.
That's a fair point.
I used to actually borrow his clothes to go to the hacienda. I used to phone him like, "Simon, are you wearing your leather jacket tonight?" I'd say, "No." I said, "Can I wear it?" "Yes." And that carried on for a few years, and he was just the loveliest person.
I remember always knowing he was cool.
We used to go to quite a lot of gigs. He used to record them. Often you can hear him saying, "Amanda, be quiet, you're going to ruin the recording," on the CD.
I remember the time when I was 18, 19 with Simon. We went on holiday together. We used to go to car rallies together. We used to drink a lot. Never to excess, but always to have good fun. He was respectful. He was thoughtful. He was naughty, cynical at times, if he wanted to be. But only really with a kind of cultural insight, if you like. He was so awake creatively. And if I think of him now, I think of him as a creative person. And I always wanted him to be more creative and to share that more. We came together for a few years, and I ended up running away and doing my stuff and leaving. We always used to come back and talk and connect. And I always felt that we might do more in the future, and sadly we never did. There was just a complete truth about Simon, and I'll always hold that very, very dear. Truth, humour, and I don't know, somewhere in the ether, I think I'm going to meet him again, and I look forward to that.
Thank you so much.
I hope that didn't sound really cheesy.
He can't be prosecuted anymore, so I can tell you this. He often recorded the gigs on special recording equipment. This is a disc, 2 discs actually, which I can show to the camera, which was the David Gray gig that we went to together in 2005. There's a pub next door, and our friend Brian Glancy happened to be sitting outside the pub, so we ended up chatting to him, and he was a very good friend of David Gray's. He's been his best man. So we ended up, Simon and I, after the gig, going to David Gray's after show party, which was great, and having pictures with him and a laugh with him, with Brian as well, which was really nice.
Over the last year or so, when he was poorly, I visited him pretty much every day, and I told him every day that I loved him, and he told me that he loved me, so that to me is very important. Thank you.
Sometimes it takes a long time to get to know people. Some people are instant, some people aren't. Me and Simon had shared friendships, and over the last 5 years we chatted, and my work came into it, and it started probably 10 years actually. And then we became reacquainted from the past. So it was more of a reacquaintance than a friendship, really. But he was a very honourable, decent guy, and it was a pleasure doing business with him.
McDonald's. So when we were younger, we went to see Shrek the movie, and I just remember going to McDonald's after.
I only knew him at what people say is his lowest towards the end of his 10 years, and if he was as wonderful as he was in that time, then it should do nothing but draw attention to how wonderful he must have been beforehand. And that's all I can say.
It's part of our youth, it's part of our growing up, part of our formative years, a big part of our formative years, and I just say thanks for the memories, thanks for being such fun. And yeah, we miss you.
No, I don't need to. Well, I think we were very fortunate in some respects that at different times we got to say hi again to Simon and always goodbye in the same words at the same time. It was last year, for me anyway, and Francine mediated, but it was a lovely time to be able just to have an hour and a half with Simon before things got too hard, I guess.
I would say Simon got 2 kids who are wonderful kids, and you left your mark on this earth, and you left a lot of good memories, and nobody ever had a bad word to say about you. We all love you very much.
He wouldn't have believed that he'd be watching, but I wish he could have seen this and would have known how much people obviously cared and how highly people thought of him.
I know that he does care about how Phoebe was doing and if she was okay, so I just want him to know that, like, obviously I'm going to look after her whole life, and that he wouldn't need to worry about her being okay, because she's got like a great amount of people just being there for her.
Phoebe and James, your dad's brilliant, man. Take good memories forward with you, because he was one of the good ones. There's a lot of bastards out there, and your dad wasn't one of them. He was alright. So all the best for the future, by the way.
What I'm really pleased about, though, most of all, is that I got to spend some really good quality time with Simon before he died. And I'm really grateful for the chance to have spent time with him in various hospitals and nursing homes over the last 3-4 months. it's a privilege to be with someone towards the end of their life, and I feel very grateful that I had that chance to spend some time with him. He was a really kind person, and he'll be greatly missed.
When we mourn somebody, we're actually mourning our loss, not their loss, because they might be in a better place, and they might be in a place where it's a very beautiful, and their existence may be really enlightening and rewarding and spiritually awakening. Maybe they've just opened the door and got some fresh air, you know. So when we mourn, really we're mourning for our own loss, but it's a big loss, and I'm really sorry.
I just want to say that I love you, Dad, and that although you aren't here and you probably would have wanted to murder us had you have known this was going to happen, that I think that if there is a way that you are looking down and that you could know that this was happening, that you'd probably think that this was pretty fucking cool. So, yeah, thank you. Cheers.
I just want to say that I'm absolutely overcome. I've never known anything like this ever before, and you've all come to pay tribute to Simon. Unfortunately, Simon was not the person latterly that he was when you knew him, and he had a tough time, a very, very tough time, but this is a fantastic, unbelievable tribute to him, and we can't thank Francine enough, Rachel, Mark, and everybody else for getting together. I'm absolutely overwhelmed, and I just thank you all. Thank you very much indeed.
I'm the